Hey guys, how's it going this evening? All right, sorry, I'm a little bit late. I thought, yep, let me go ahead and get a stream started tonight. My time here, it's about 10 o'clock. I'm a little bit late because unfortunately I spent like the last 10 minutes trying to get the film off of the silly acrylic ornaments. Yeah, but that's done. Okay. Christmas is in full swing here. Holiday season is abound. So tonight I have got these two ornaments laying out here, and I've got some blues that I'm going to be using. Over here I've got, actually let me show you the bottles. So I've got this Ultra Blue Deep and Blue Harbor. And then I'm just going to go with a nice light gray sky. Okay. And then a dollop of the glass medium, just a drop in the bottom of each well, which I'm going to get mixed in here. Okay. Now, the reason for the glass medium, if you are not familiar with this, I don't hear a whole lot about glass medium, ironically enough. In dot painting, I really don't, but I dot a lot on glass. I've fallen in love with these acrylic ornaments and bookmarks lately. They're just beautiful to work with, super smooth and clean. What it does, it actually allows your paint to stick to these nice smooth surfaces. I love this product. I really, really, really do. Certainly not sponsored by any means, but I will tell you that it is an absolute favorite and a go-to for me. You will not regret buying it. These bottles, what is it here, 8 ounces? I think it was something like $18. I've had this one particular bottle probably about a year and a half, and it's still over half full. As you can see, it's really just a dot per well when it's used. And as you can see here, it does actually give you a gloss finish. Not that it matters a whole lot. The paint that we use, if you're following along with any of the Decor Americana, they're beautiful anyways, you know. But this helps that the paint stick so that you don't have to worry about varnishing it. And obviously something like this you wouldn't be able to oven cure. So it really helps. Let me go ahead. All right, so I've got these laid out. As always, I am using my Happy Dotting Company tools. I am not going to be going above a 6. So if you do decide to follow along, I've got in front of me just everything from a 0.5 to a 6 for swooshes, which I will be including as well. I use this old dot art tool. I just use the 0.5 end, which is just a tad sharper than the rest of the ball ends. This is my go-to tool for swooshes. You can use whatever you like. I do them with kind of the dot and drag method. I use 2 tools. I do not typically use just one tool, and that is only because I use these Happy Dotting Company. The flat ends do not lend themselves very well to pulling swooshes. So I have adapted the tool method, and I really do like that. It works for me. All right. So let's go ahead and jump in. All right, so I'm going to start with the dark blue. Okay. Now, if anybody's popping in and is going to join, whether now or later, if anybody has any problems with the music, the volume in the background, my voice, yell. If you are following along, if you happen to miss something, want me to go back, I'd be happy to. Again, just give me a shout. Let me take a quick peek how I want this. Okay. All right, let's start over here. Now I'm going to be doing these in tandem. just one right after another. This helps me make sure that the pattern is the same, because I don't know if anyone is like me, then if I don't immediately write down the sizes that I'm using, I might do the same pattern on the next item, but accidentally use a 1.5 instead of a 1 or something like that, which is not the death by any means, but can be annoying. All right, let's jump into a 2. And let's go into the gray. Okay. And I think I might just do the dots right up to, what would you call it, the cap? I don't know that I want it to go all the way around. You know what? I certainly could I could change that. I could change that. But if I do decide to change that, then I'm going to change that at the end. When I take off the tape, I can add the rest of the row. Okay, but for now, let's just go to here. Okay. Now between each switch, I do wipe off my tools. I've just got a silly little old washcloth that I always have next to me, hot water. I just wipe them off. I don't dunk them by any means. Okay, so that is a 2. Let's go to a 3. And we're just going to drop these dots into the nook of the row before them. And it definitely is easier to start in the middle when you're doing something like this, just so that the dots on the edges can freely kind of fall off, if that makes sense. If I need a half dot, then I can just let that fall off. I don't have to worry about a little wonkiness in the middle. All right, might need to move this whole thing up for you. I'm gonna move that up a little. Okay, there we go. That's better. All right, so that's a 6, a 2, and a 3 so far. Let's go back. How about a 5? I think a 5 should be, yeah, that'll work. Okay, let's get some large dots placed here. And we're going to skip, and we're going to go here. And same on this side. Okay. You know what? That center one looks a smidge off. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab a Q-tip if I can find it. Maybe. And I'm going to wipe that off. Apparently my Q-tips have feet. I have run away. And there we go. Okay. They just got buried at the bottom. My little Ziploc bag full of Q-tips. Okay. I'm just going to move this one. And as you can see right now, it's just a wet Q-tip. I'm not even going to be too concerned about getting all of that off because I'm just going to scoot it over. I'm going to dot right over it. As long as the paint is still wet, even with the medium on it, let's get this in place here. It's going to come off real nice and easy. You're not going to have to worry about it sticking and ruining anything. But the second that it dries, you won't be able to get it off. The glass medium will adhere it very, very well. Very well. Okay. All right. Okay, so now I've got them like this. Let's go back into the gray. How about we do we want to go back into a 2? Yeah, let's go into a 2. Gonna get a dot just on top of these. Okay, we'll hop into a 1. And then we're going to walk. All right, my comment to the walk is going to be, even though you don't necessarily absolutely have to or need to, clean your tool off at this point. Just wipe that off. The smaller the tool, the larger the dot looks if you continue to keep going and don't clean it off. The paint really does build up very quickly. And you don't notice it a whole lot on the larger tools, but especially on the smaller ones, can make a big difference. Okay, there's those. A little small. Let me go back over that real quick. Okay. This is kind of an odd angle, isn't it? I'm going to flip this upside down. There's row 1. Now let's go up a half a step. 2.5. And I'm going to get a second row here. And I'm going to go back down to a 1.5 on this. And we're going to do the same. Let's see here. Okay. Now, theoretically, when you go through and you make these dots, they should kind of automatically fall in between the crooks of the one underneath. If they don't, it's okay. It's okay. All right. We're going to do some swooshies. Little swooshies at this point. If you are following along, I will walk through these with you. So this may take just slightly longer than I think you might be used to. Okay. But because swooshes are such a pain, lots and lots of people have problems with them. And I'll show you how I do it. Do I want to go all the way up to, no, probably don't. Maybe a 5. Yeah, I think a 5 would be fine for this first one. I'm going to go into the gray. All right, so let's make sure that this is kind of centered here on my screen. Now what I'm going to do at the tops, now I don't have an extra grid line marked here. I just did these kind of about an inch apart or so. But what I'm going to do is we're going to take and put a dot kind of just above where these would end, right? Somewhere about here on this line. All right. One single dot is fine, but we're going to go back in. We're going to do a second, load the tool up really, really well. Okay. Just lightly touch it a couple of times. Let gravity pull the excess paint from the tool off and onto. There we go. Actually, I don't even need to wipe that off. Habit. I'll leave that there. So now for me personally, like I said, because I use the flat-headed tools, I do not use the drag method. So I have got here my second tool. Again, this is the 0.5 end of the dot arch tool. And what we're going to do is take the tip of the tool near the top middle, and we're going to just touch it into the paint, and we're going to draw it straight down. Okay, so we're going to take some of the paint from this with me, right? You don't want to push down really hard, but you do want enough pressure that you're actually able to pull the paint with you. Okay, then we're going to take this and we're going to grab midline on one side. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to pull this down and we're going to meet the center of this one. Okay, now you're going to get something that looks like that. Okay, then I'm going to grab this side and we're going to pull this one down here. Okay, Now the fun part is you kind of want to color, right? So very, very, very light, and just drag the paint through here like this. Here we go. Okay, one down. I'm going to wipe the tipped head. You know what I'm going to do? Hold on one second here. I am going to... I'm going to skip over that song. I apologize. Normally I'm 100% fine with the vocals, but that might not. That might hinder what I'm trying to do for you. Sorry. Okay. And then we're going to do it again. Again, we're going to put it somewhere about here. Okay. Dip it again. And as long as you can see that, I'm just going to let gravity pull that kind of off. I'm not touching anything but the very tip of the paint. Okay. Don't have to clean that off. And we're going to do that again. All right. So tool, top, middle. You can just follow the line underneath. Mine's a little bit off actually, I think, but I'm going to pull that through here. Okay. Midline of the side, pull that down. Okay. Midline here, pull that down. And if you have any spaces, then just bring that through. Now, when you're dragging that out, when you're kind of coloring it in, think of it just like that. Think of it just like coloring. You know, kids and crayons, right? Just color it in. The only thing I will say to that is that in this case, you're okay to actually touch the surface and pull the paint across. But if you find that you're getting lines when you do that, that means there's not enough paint. Okay, so at that point, either use, in this scenario, go ahead and grab your 5 and make another dot over the center here and then continue to drag that out. Or go ahead and just dip your tool tip into the paint. So you have a little bit on this tool and then use that to color it in. Okay. All right, let's repeat that over here. Okay. And again, this is a 5. All right, I'm going to drop that one here. Okay. From the middle, we're going to pull down, side, down, and side, down. Essentially what you're doing here, especially when you do this with larger ones, essentially you are just drawing lines to color in. Right? If you're working like me on something acrylic instead of paper, this should just glide like butter, right? You shouldn't have a problem. Glass, acrylic, tile, anything smooth or pre-treated with a varnish is glorious to work on. Really, really smooth. If you are working on something like cardstock, if you have construction paper, or if you're working on an MDF, paper, keep in mind paper especially is going to absorb, right? So you're going to have to use extra, right? I would probably maybe even do 3. Okay. You're going to be a lot more prone to getting the lines on there. So just make sure, don't worry about over adding paint. It's almost not a thing. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm going to wipe that off. Might come back into a side one, but I'll figure that out in a moment. So that's 5. We're going to drop that probably in half. We're going to go to a 2.5. Yeah, that would be, actually I could even go to a 3. We've got enough room for a 3. Okay. So I'm going to hop into a 3. We're going to do another set of swooshes. Okay. This time I'm going to do it in the dark blue. Now for these ones, exact same process. We're going to get that loaded up real nice. Now I'm going to put the dot here. So essentially, as if it were to sit on top of this one here, right, in that line. If you don't have grid marks, that's why I'm commenting on this. So as if this would be sitting right on top. Okay, scoot that right over. Okay. All right. I'm going to pull this kind of towards me here. Now this one I'm going to do the same process, but I'm going to start in a different spot. This time, instead of starting in the middle, I'm going to start on the side here. And I'm just going to follow the line of my walked dots down here to the tip. And then I'm going to take this side and I'm going to drop it straight down. Okay. And then we're going to fill that in. Okay. All right, same thing on this side. I'm going to get that dropped in about here. Okay, I actually can flip this upside down a little. All right, so we're taking the midline of the side here, pull it down along the edge of the walk. Okay. Take this end, pull that down, and then color it in. Okay. I'm going to take and make this one a little longer. You can tell how much darker this blue is when it dries. It looks much, much brighter already. Okay. Let's flip this over. Okay. Now the good thing about having this two-tool method is you do have a little bit more freedom as well when it comes to drawing your swooshes, right? If you want them a little thinner, a little thicker, if you need to drag them out a little bit more, you sort of do have that extra freedom, right? It's not just, okay, I'm going to drop this here and I'm going to drag it and wherever it ends, it ends. You can absolutely adjust some things with that as well, but I just find that this is a little easier. Personal opinion. Okay. Now I'm just dropping these ones in. If at any point you're following along and you want me to do that again, just yell. Okay. Now we have these two edges over here, right? So what I'm going to do, now there's not going to be anything here, but about here, let's go ahead and drop in a dot. And then we're going to go the opposite direction. Okay. And then just wrap this right up to the edge. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm going to swing this around. We'll do it on this side. Can probably turn this a little so it's a little easier to see. Okay. All right, so we're here. Okay, get my tools wiped off. What I probably want to do, let's see. Just make sure I've got the room on each of these. Okay. So I'm going to take a 2. And I'm just going to extend this dot here. Oops, almost went into the gray. No bueno. Okay. All right. I'm just going to put an extra dot here. All right, so we've got that full row. We'll let that dry. Now the next part, let's see, what size do we want to do? Thinking maybe we can do 3 and then maybe a 4. Okay, what I want to do is follow this line here. Okay, and we're actually just going to make a row. This might be a little bit easier for me to do this direction. And what color do we want to start with? We can really do anything here. Why don't we do the dark? Okay. So I'm going to go into the 3. And what we're going to do is start again in the middle. Okay. And I'm going to put that so the bottom of the dot touches the line. And I didn't measure this out previously, etc. So that's another reason to start in the center. Because I don't know at the end here if I'm going to have room for a full dot or if we're going to have to drop this off the edge. Okay, looks like I just got enough room. That one felt a little funny. There. Okay. All right, so now we've got this nice row. And let's flip that around. Okay. Let's see, how do I want to do that one? Because I don't want to dunk my hand in this one. I must have said or felt it 100 times. Doing these rows like this is the hardest part. Okay. Once we get this one done, I think I will put in some micro dots in between just to kind of finish it, just to make it look a little cleaner, a little sharper instead of just a row of dots. Okay. All right. So there we are with that. When I say micro, I just basically mean the 0.5, the smallest tool size that we've got. Okay. All right. And then let's take one on top and one on bottom. It's almost like walking dots here. This is going to take a moment. Okay. And I'm just going to get this right in the crook of the dots. Let that one hang off the edge. All right. Yep, so now we've got that row. I'm going to wipe my tool off and then we're going to pop over to the other one. Make sure my tool is actually dry or else the paint's not going to stick. Okay. Almost. Almost. And there. Okay. Now we've got our band. Now I do have a bunch of room actually here. I'm thinking if we want to do another band, which we absolutely have room for, and then put actually no, you know what, maybe not. Yeah, because what I'm thinking about doing is we're going to add in some more of the walked dots here. Now I don't necessarily want to carry the same pattern across here, so have the walk dots match, but I'm going to put them more or less in the center, so they're just a little bit offset, so the same pattern isn't just duplicated here. So what I'm going to do, yeah, I'm going to leave the extra room. So let's go back to the 5. And we're going to swap up the color just a bit. Now I'm going to take a dot, and instead of doing it directly on the line, we're going to go in the middle here of these. And another one here. Okay. Let's go to a 2 and get the top dot on here. go. Okay. Now let's also go down to, yeah, let's continue to go with 1. Normally what I would do is, because I would just go a half step down, but because I want more of a sharper triangular shape for the walk instead of rounded, then I'm going to make this 1 whole size smaller for the walk dots than the top dot. Okay, but if you want it a little bit rounder, then use a half a step down, or you don't even have to go down a step. You can actually just take this one and then just continue to walk it along the edge. Okay. So if you're concerned, if you're a beginner, and I know for me when I started, that was one of my biggest worries, was because I could never figure out why the walked dots for most people looked like a petal and had that kind of triangular shape, and mine were all round. Well, that's because you want to use a larger size at the top and bring it down smaller. If you use the same size, then it's going to round out. Turn that around here. Make sure it's actually visible. Okay. And then we're going to move up to a 3. For this one, I am going to go with 2.5. And we're going to get some more swooshes in here. So we started with the gray over here. We're going to go back up to a 4. Scoot this over a little. Now this time we can actually kind of follow the line here. Let's see what color. You know what? Let's go with the light blue. I'm going to grab my tool again. Dot that twice. Okay. We're going to bring this all the way down. Make sure there's a lot of paint on it. Just bring this all the way in. Grab it from the middle and then just kind of draw all the way to the bottom. Double dot that. Lots and lots of extra paint. Top to bottom. Pull this side down and this side down. Okay. Okay, I have one here that I can do. Shape that just slightly more. Okay. Let's make sure I get that where I want it. Okay. And that fits right on the edge. Drag the paint all the way from the top to the bottom. Grab the edge and pull that down. And pull this in a little. See, now I can kind of shape this as well. If I decide that I don't like exactly the way that is, it's just like coloring. Just like crayons. Okay. All right. Get the other one here. Might actually have been easier to do it from this angle. Oh, that ran a little. Oops. So the midline down, and just pull that all the way through. All right, so now we've got those three. We probably want to go down to a 2, at least for those. Yeah, definitely. Okay. So I'm going to go down to a 2. I'm going to make these nice and heavy. Okay, now again, we're going to take this edge first and drag it down, and then bring the other edge to meet it. Just drag these nice and long, all the way down. Okay. There we go. All right, and we're going to do the same over here. Now, as you can see, to make these longer, I'm just kind of constantly coming back to the center dot here and then dragging. Now for this one, it is going to be slightly different shaped. It's going to be right on the edge. That's fine. I'll do something else in the corners here. Oops, looks like there's something in my tool there. Get that off. Wipe that off real quick. Okay. Okay, so 2. Okay. And you can see I'm kind of tapping it when I drop the paint. And again, that's just to make sure that I've got all of the paint off. All right, there's one. And let's move over to this one. Drop that all the way down. Okay. Make sure I have enough paint here. Okay. Now, initially, the other thing too is that right now, I'm sure that everything looks just a little bland. We are going to do some top dots. I may or may not be able to actually, well, it's drying pretty quickly. You do not want to add any top dots until you are 100% sure that the paint is dry. You do not want to screw it up. So, oops, this one I've really close. So let's just curve that there. These ones I think are dry enough to do that. So we'll see. Okay. All right. So now we've got those in. All right, now what I'm going to do, let's see what size. Yeah, we can get away with a 4. Let's see. Yeah, let's do a 4. All right, so I'm going to go to the 4. The other color that we haven't used yet on this section is the gray. So I'm going to take the gray. And I'm going to put a dot here. All right. And we're going to do a swoosh, just an itty bitty short stubby little guy. Okay, I'm just going to draw a line across the bottom and one down. Okay, and fill that in. Okay. Yeah, let's see. Keep it over here too. Going to be straight down. Oops. Okay. We're going to flip that over so I can get over here. All right, there's that. I'm going to let the top part dry, And what I'm going to do, let's go back to probably a 2. I can go bigger than that. As long as I have room. Yeah, okay. What I want to do here is add in kind of a crown. It's going to fill in the extra space. Put a dot on either side of the line here. And then a 2. And drop that tip here. All right. And I'm going to slowly flip it upside down. And I do have enough room to do at least the cap on this side. So I'm going to stay with my 2. And I'll at least do this part here. Okay. Okay, so essentially the main and base of this is done. What I'm going to do though, let's see, I have a couple of options for top dots. I do have a metallic blue, but as you can see, it's a much brighter blue. Or, well, I actually have 2 options. I have a nice bright, almost pearl silver. This is the only Craft Smart paint that I actually use, just ironically enough. That would look beautiful, or I even have a zinc, which would complement the gray pretty well. So kind of whatever you want to do. You could even drop a white in here if you don't necessarily have that. Let's see. I kind of like the zinc. I think I'm going to go with the zinc. Okay, I'm getting that shook up. I can hear the noise, and that's because some of these paints, I have ball bearings in them. 2 1/4 inch. I do that to help mix the paint, especially with the thicker paints, the metallics. I only need a tiny bit of that. Okay. But again, same thing. I'm still going to add. Now, normally if it was just top dots, I would just dot right out of the lid of the container, but I don't want to do that. Only because I do absolutely need to add this medium in, this glass medium. Yep. Just make sure that that's mixed on. Okay. So now what I want to do is I'm gonna pick. All right, so I'm gonna turn this extra light on. And let's go upside down. And I want to make some of the shine. These I believe were a 4. to go down a full tool size to a 3. And these ones here, what I'm going to do is take and drop a dot right on top at the bottom here. Same here. Now I am keeping this color really, really dark. Okay, and I'm going to add one here at the bottom. But you can lighten it up. You can actually use, like I said, white, bright silver. You could do even another shade of the blue. Feel free to take, for example, one of the blues that you're already using, and then just add a drop of white. Okay. And then I'm going to go into, sorry, another upside down too. This may not be all that visible at the moment, but when it gets in the light and starts shining, especially if you do hang it in your tree. Yeah. Now this is not the color of my tree. My color scheme is burgundy, gold, and brown. And I did make another set of ornaments, actually pretty well in those colors. And even though they're very muted, once they were added to the tree and you get that sparkle, yeah, you'll notice it. This will stand out like crazy. Okay. All right, get that wiped off. Let's go up to a 3. Yeah. I'm going to stay with the 3 here. Same thing goes with this. As far as the colors, I am just using straight zinc across the board. You do not have to. You can actually use different colors if you choose to. You can use more than one top dot color. All right, what I'm going to do for this though, since this is a larger section, I'm actually going to mimic this here. Okay. And I'm going to bring this swoosh down. Okay. Like that. Same exact principle, just pull from the middle. Oops. All right. No, it's too large. All right. Usually speaking, you want to go a size smaller when you top dot, a half size at least, if not a size smaller than the bottom dot. Okay. If you're going to do it the way I am anyways. There's no rules. I want to be careful because these ones are just slightly wet still. So I want to be extra careful. Okay. We are just a couple seconds from being done. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna go to, actually, yeah, let me pick that back up with the 1.5. And let's get a top here. Okay. And you know what, we might, while I'm at it, I don't want to overdo it, but yet I feel like these guys are hanging out down here, missing the party. All right, so I'm just going to add a touch to you here on the bottom, and then we're done. Now these little acrylic ornaments actually came with some very short, I will say, very short ribbon to tie them with. Just the little 80 ones. All right, I'm gonna flip this around here. Let's lift this up if I can. Okay, so what do we think about that? I like the color. I like the way that that turned out. I know sometimes on the black it's a little hard to see. Okay. And very last thing here. Let's see if I can manage to tie these without flipping them over. I'm just going to do a little knot because it's unfortunately not really long enough for me to do anything else. They're so short. I wish these were just a tad longer. Yep. Now I have quite a few more ornaments as well as bookmarks and these clear acrylic. So if you liked this, if you like the look of it, I have 2 live bookmark makings. I have 2 recorded bookmark makings, which are about 8 minutes a piece. So if you don't necessarily have or want to spend an hour, which I understand, certainly, you know, nothing wrong with that. If you can't spend an hour watching the creation, or if you just want to hang around, you have 8 minutes to sit down and sip your coffee in the morning or whatever, go check those out. Like I said, those are set to music. They're just relaxing. They're about 8 minutes a piece. And then I've got this today that you can always check back with later. Okay. All right. We're all set. So there's 2 more ornaments down. Okay. I certainly appreciate anyone that has stopped by. If you have any questions, please drop a comment. I am happy to answer any questions that you've got and look forward to seeing your events later. All right. Take care. Have a fantastic evening.